Hey guys, we got a dog in the background here at the park. It's one of the workers. They're fixing up the park here, and one of the workers took his dog here, and it kind of destroys the peace here in the park here. And it's kind of awful because the other dogs that they had here were quiet. This one's a big barker, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to have that going on in the background. But today, anyway, I want to talk about why some expats choose to stay away from expats totally. We have a group of expats here, and I run into them quite often in the malls. And you say hi to them or you try to talk to them, they won't acknowledge you. I've got to talk to a couple of these guys because I talked to them online, and one of them was telling me he stays away from expats in the Philippines totally because he doesn't trust them. He has issues with them. He doesn't feel comfortable. He's had a few things happen, people borrowed money or what have you. And he was telling me, he says, they're just not nice people. He says, any information you give them, they throw it back in your face. And this is something I've had happen to me with people, and after a while you kind of put your guards up and say, never again, And I'm a person who's kind of open because I don't do anything wrong. I just mind my business and do everything the right way that I'm supposed to do it. And a lot of people here, they take your information, grab it, run with it. And they don't have the other half. They don't know the other half. And they try to wreck you in this circle of friends that they have, or in their circle of expats or whatever that they hang around with. They pass gossip around. And it is a reflection kind of on the groups that are out there. And it's one thing I try to stop in my group. It's kind of hard sometimes because you're trying to figure things out, make sure everybody's on the up and up, everybody's doing things right, in our group, because we don't want anybody that messes up really bad, and then it reflects on our group, and nor would anybody else. There's a lot of little tiny expat communities around in different areas. Some of them are very loose, some of them are very well put together, and they meet up often or whatever. They meet up at coffee shops, or they have group get-togethers, or they have little places where they hang out or whatever. Well, what I see from these people, we have a few people in our group actually, and they just like their peace. And it's something I understand because I love my peace too. And the busyness of being like the leader of the community here is that it takes away some of that peace from you, and I understand that why people want to have that peace and everything. And I understand that, everybody wants to have that in their life, especially when you're retired. And for some of us, we like to stay away from people like just period, because we don't like to have any problems with people. We don't like to have issues with people. We don't like to have crap going on in our lives. How you doing, guys? But I mean, that's anybody. But from over here, the other thing is some of the expats are just jerks. They're jerks that you wouldn't want to hang around with anyway. Their personality was never developed. They're very unfriendly. They're people that have brought over issues. Like we've talked about many times in the past, we've talked about that. But I wanted to cover on this a little bit more because I think it's important, is that, let's face it, there's jerks out there, there's dickheads. And if you run into enough of them, they kind of keep you on guard to where you don't want to be hanging around with any of these guys anymore. I'm wearing my thing here today because I was at the store earlier and I keep going in and out of stores, so I just keep it on. It just makes it easier. So I look kind of funny with it on, but that's the way my day is today. I've just been going every place. We're allowed to keep it off now during the day, but we have to put it back on. If we're out and about, we can keep it off during the day. And if we go into a store or something, we have to have it back on. So if you go in any buildings or anything, you have to put it back on. So that's the way it is over here in the Philippines still. But anyway, over here, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to show it in a second. You can see in the background there, that building, I call it the barn. And the front here, I'll show you the front down here, what they're doing. They're fixing it. They're fixing the whole park. I hope they fix the walkway over here because it's slippery as hell with all the green on here from the rain and everything. But I'm going to show you this here. They're fixing everything in here, and they're making it look really, really, really sharp and nice. And hopefully they paint the railway or something to make that look nice. I'm actually quite glad that they're doing this. But anyway, I did want to touch on that today. A lot of people have asked me, hey Steve, I've come here a couple times, and when I go through the mall or whatever, I always meet up with some guy. I try to say hi to him or try to strike up a conversation, and the guy won't talk to me. Don't take that personally. Okay, don't take it personally, because it happens to me. It happens to other people here. Sometimes it's a language barrier and you might not realize it. But for the most part, most people are pretty friendly here. About 80%, I would say, would talk to you in the malls. About 20% might not. Some of them just might not hear you or whatever out of that 20%. So I'm not saying 20% of them are dickheads or jerks. They're just people that, you know, they just might not hear you. A lot of the guys over here are elderly. They need hearing aids. They can't hear you, okay? We have a few in our group that wear hearing aids. And when I go to talk to them, sometimes they ignore me because they can't hear me. So that's an issue too. But I want to state that when you hear and people don't pay attention to you or something, another expat doesn't pay attention to, don't ever take it personally. It's just that the guy wants his peace, or he doesn't want to interact with other expats, because where he came from, he escaped all that crap. Whatever he was putting up with, whether it be political crap in his country or whatever, and he kind of thinks in his head that you're like that. And, you know, that's his prerogative. You know, and it doesn't mean you are. It just, that's the way these people think sometimes. And we do have a lot of mental health issues over here. PTSD, all kinds of stuff. You know, trauma victims and things like that. And a lot of people, when they retire or whatever, first thing they do is get up, boom, they're gone, and they leave. And as I talk to people, I notice kind of everybody over here, for the most part, I would say probably about 80% of the people here have some kind of psychological thing going on. I think we all do by the time we're 60, to be honest with you. I think that we all have some sort of trauma in our life, because you don't get out of this place, you know, 100% ever. Most people don't make it through life without any issues in their life. You have some sort of issues, some major issues in your life, whether it be from family, or whether it be from a marriage or whatever, whether it be from something tragic that happened to you, or whether it's something that happened in, it could be in the military or something like that. But a lot of the people over here carry some sort of trauma with them in some ways. Some make it through fine and okay. They make it over to the other side and they're pretty much normal and they're okay. And some of them don't. And I would say over here, like I said, about 10% of the people have really major issues. Maybe some people say as high as 30%. And you just don't see it until it comes out on its own. You never know. But anyway, guys, I wanted to throw that out there. If you know, I tell people kind of stay in the middle. In a middle place where you have peace, but you still have friendships. That's the best way to be over here. And keep a low profile, but you know what? Also keep your information to yourself pretty much. Don't be too much out there with the information. I'm a pretty free person. I tell people a lot of information, but I don't give them too much information, you know, that they can hang you by, because it's none of their business. Just keep your business to yourself. You know, if it's your friend, still be careful, because sometimes friends end up not being friends later on in life, and then they use that against you or whatever. Anyway, guys, just be careful. Over here is the same way back in the States in some ways as far as friendships. You got to be careful. God bless, guys. Take care.